The Xfinity Series race ended in chaos when Sammy Smith made a move on the final lap that pushed Taylor Gray out of the lead. The incident did not just impact the race result, it caused tension between drivers and led to multiple penalties. NASCAR handed Smith a 50-point penalty and a $25,000 fine. This decision dropped him from 6th place in the driver's standings to 13th, which could be a big blow to his playoff hopes. That penalty, along with $5,000 fines for both Taylor Gray and Jeb Burton, shows us how serious NASCAR is about enforcing fair racing and respectful behavior. The crash itself happened in the final corner of the race. Smith went into the turn too fast and bumped Gray out of the way. It looked like an intentional move to steal the win. Gray, who had led the last part of the race, was furious. After the race, emotions boiled over in the infield care center, where Gray and Burton both lost their tempers. They weren't fighting each other. Each had different reasons to be upset.
They are. They're actually having conversations now. They're just a few minutes before I got here. Sammy's Taylor Gray and Taylor working on Taylor's trying to go back for more conversations with Sammy. Taylor now walks away.
Gray was clearly angry with Smith, and Burton was frustrated with how the race ended. He even said online that he wanted to teach young drivers some respect. Jeb Burton's post on social media gave more insight into the situation. He said drivers were racing without any respect and that the infield care center wasn't the right place for arguments, but that's where things happened. He made it clear that he was defending himself and his team, not looking for trouble. NASCAR fined both him and Gray not for what they did, but for where they did it. The sanctioning body wants to avoid fights or shouting matches in medical areas where the focus should be on safety and care. This was not the first time NASCAR had to deal with a move like this. Last year, Austin Dillon was penalized after a race at Richmond, but the reasons behind that penalty were never fully clear. People were unsure whether the penalty was for a hook move on Denny Hamlin or for hitting Joey Logano earlier in the race. That left fans and drivers confused about where NASCAR stood on aggressive racing. This time, though, the penalty against Sammy Smith made things more obvious. NASCAR has drawn a hard line. Wrecking someone on the final lap just to win will not be tolerated, even if it means losing points, money, or a shot at the playoffs. The 50-point penalty is especially huge. In the Xfinity Series, points are everything. Only a few points can separate drivers from making the playoffs or missing out. A 50-point drop can take a driver from being in a comfortable spot to being outside the top 10, with little time left in the season to recover. Smith's drop from 6th to 13th in the standings proves that. He'll now need multiple strong finishes or even a race win to claw back into playoff contention. That kind of penalty sends a message to all drivers. If you try to wreck someone to win, you'll pay a heavy price. One thing that fans and commentators pointed out was the delay in NASCAR's decision. The race ended Saturday night, but the penalties weren't announced until almost 72 hours later. For 3 days, we didn't know how NASCAR would respond. I think that this kind of decision should have been made immediately, right after the race ended. If NASCAR had ruled during or shortly after the race, they could have scored Sammy Smith at the tail end of the lead lap, effectively placing him near the back without waiting for a full penalty report. This delay caused confusion and frustration. People watching from the grandstands or at home were left wondering if what they had just seen would be punished or not. NASCAR has worked in recent years to avoid long waits for decisions. For example, they used to take days to complete post-race inspections. Sometimes, fans wouldn't even know until Tuesday or Wednesday if the winner had passed or failed. Now inspections are done by Sunday night, so fans know who really won. The same urgency should apply to penalties for rough driving. It keeps things clear and avoids rumors or debates dragging on for days. By making the call at the track, NASCAR could give us immediate answers. If Smith had been moved to the back of the lead lap that night, everyone would have seen the result before leaving. They wouldn't need to wait for social media updates or official releases. Even if the in-race penalty was less severe than the one given days later, it would still serve as a warning. A rough driving penalty during the race or immediately after still hurts a driver's final position and sends a strong message. The problem is that without quick penalties, drivers might believe they can get away with aggressive moves. Smith thought pushing Gray out of the way was his only shot at winning. He knew a win might lock him into the playoffs. Without a clear, immediate rule, he took that risk. If NASCAR had handed down a penalty right away, it would have stopped other drivers from thinking that kind of move is okay. That's why many fans and experts believe the rules should be enforced in real time. It helps fans understand what happened, and it helps drivers make better choices. Of course, there's always the challenge of getting these calls right. Race control has to make fast decisions while the race is still going or just after it ends. There's pressure to be fair, but quick. But in the end, it helps the sport more than waiting several days. Penalties like the one given to Sammy Smith are important. They show that NASCAR wants clean racing and respect between drivers, but they're even more effective when they're given out right away, not when the headlines have already moved on. We also saw a major shakeup when Legacy Motor Club filed a lawsuit against Ware Racing. The situation revolves around those old charter sale agreements that both teams apparently signed, but now disagree on. The lawsuit was filed on April the 1st, and while the timing made it seem like a joke, this was anything but funny. Legacy believes that Ware Racing is trying to back out of a signed deal, while Ware's side claims the deal was never meant to happen so soon. This disagreement has serious implications, not just for the two teams involved, but for other organizations like RFK Racing as well. In January of 2025, Legacy Motor Club CEO Cal Wells III met with representatives from Ware Racing. The purpose of the meeting was clear. Legacy wanted to buy one of Ware's charters to use for the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. A charter is extremely important in NASCAR. It guarantees a team a spot in every race. There are only 36 charters available, and buying one usually costs millions. In fact, in recent years, charters have sold for as much as $20 million. Because of that, any transaction involving a charter becomes a serious financial and competitive decision. Legacy said the teams met on January the 6th to strike a deal and signed it on March the 3rd after agreeing on payment terms. Exact figures were not disclosed publicly, but charters have been sold at valuations of up to $40 million, and now Legacy claims RWR has cold feet. On March the 3rd of 2025, Legacy says that both sides signed and initialed a final agreement to transfer one of the charters. Legacy claims all terms were clearly laid out, including the year the charter would be transferred. They say the deal was made for 2026. Ware Racing, however, says they thought the agreement was for 2027. That one-year difference is the entire reason this lawsuit now exists. Clearer rules and timelines will be more important than ever. Now, before you leave, just don't forget to comment down your thoughts on this. And while you're still down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more upcoming content.